All right, so today we're looking at how to turn fractions and decimals into percents. In the past, we've talked about turning nice fractions or decimals into percents, and those would be fractions that can easily be made out of 100. Because remember, percent means of 100. The word per means of, and cent, like cents in a dollar, means 100. So we've talked about, for example, how to turn 1/4 into a percent. Well, a fourth gets made into out of 100 by multiplying by 25. So we take 4 times 25 to give us 100. 1 times 25 would give us 25 out of 100. When you have a fraction out of 100, your numerator is your percent, so that turns into 25%. But what about when we've got uglier fractions? Or when we've got decimal numbers? Well, the same thing applies. Percent means of 100. If you recall, of in math means multiply. So to turn a fraction or a decimal into a percent, we are multiplying by 100%. So let's take a look. Let's turn the fraction 1/3 into a percent. So again, percent means of 100. So we are going to multiply by 100%. So what we need to do first is turn 100% into a fraction by putting it over 1, and then we multiply. 1 times 100 gives us 100%. 3 times 1 gives us 3. So we've got 100% over 3. Now that is an improper fraction, so we need to fix it. To fix this, we need to remember that top dog gets the house. So this turns into the division problem, 100 divided by 3. And then we divide as normal. So 3 does not go into 1, it goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. 10 minus 9 gives us 1. Bring down our 0. 10 divided by 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. And we've got nothing left over. So you could keep dividing. However, if you notice the repetition in our subtraction, this is going to go on forever. So instead, we can shortcut that by saying 1 is our remainder. So that becomes our numerator of our mixed number. 3 is the divisor. That becomes our denominator. So we took 100% divided by 3, and we got 33⅓%. So again, to turn a fraction into a percent, if it is not nice, if you cannot get the denominator to 100, you take your fraction and multiply it by 100% over 1. And that gets you to your percentage. Now, let's look at what happens when we deal with a decimal. So let's say we are dealing with the decimal number 0.125, 0 and 125 thousandths. Same idea applies. Of 100% means of 100. So we're going to of multiply by 100%. Now remember, when we multiply by a power of 10, in this case by 100, we move the decimal to the right, because we're multiplying so our number should get bigger. We move it to the right for each 0 in our power of 10. In this case, 100 has 2 zeros, so we move our decimal to the right 2 times, once for each 0. So we move our decimal to the right once, twice. So it goes in between the 2 and the 5. So we get 0 and 125 thousandths times 100 equals 12.5%. Don't forget your percent sign. Or we could represent that as 12.5%. So just remember, fractions, decimals, 2%. We are multiplying by 100%. If it's a fraction, put 100% over 1. If it's a decimal, move your decimal 2 places to the right.